The Oculus Quest 2 is no more. But don't fret, because Facebook, who own Oculus, are simply rebranding themselves to Meta. So it just means that the Oculus Quest 2 is being rebranded to the Meta Quest 2. So with the Quest 2 having been out for over a year now, is it worth buying? Well, there has been so much that's happened in the world of Oculus and VR in general over the last year that my answer back then is different to my answer now. So in this video, I'm going to take you quickly through the Oculus Quest 2, its pros, its cons, what's happened over the last year to change my mind, and finally my verdict on whether I think it's worth buying. Welcome to my tech gear. Let's get into it. The Oculus Quest 2 is a standalone VR headset that means you can play VR games on this standalone without the need for a VR capable PC. This will completely track your movement, so forward, backwards, up, down, left and right, and it was a game changer when it was released a year ago, all costing only $299 for the base model. This really did make VR accessible to the masses. Out of the box, the Oculus Quest 2 comes with the foam face cover and the elasticated head strap. It even comes with a glasses spacer to give you a bit more room between your face and the VR headset so you can fit in a pair of glasses. There is an LCD screen in here which gives you a resolution of 1832 by 1920 per eye. Now this is a change from the original Quest, which came with an OLED screen, so the screen's not as good, but the resolution is higher. And this gives you a resolution that is actually even better than the Valve Index, and that headset costs 3 times the price of this. It also comes with 2 wireless controllers as well, which are here, and the battery life on these are awesome, far better than they were on the original. Just runs off a single AA, which you can easily see here. However, I would also recommend getting rechargeable batteries. Actually, I'll place a link to some in the description down below for you. This grip cover doesn't actually come with them out of the box. This is additional accessory. I'll put a link to it in the description down below if you want to check this one out. I have reviewed this as well. Thoroughly recommend this, really good to have. And the headset itself is also battery powered, but it's a rechargeable battery here, where a full charge will give you about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay. And the games for this are very easy. You just go to the Oculus Quest store and you can go and buy games similar to how you would from a Apple App Store or a Google Play Store. And then the games just download over your Wi-Fi connection straight onto the headset. And the price of the games for this vary from free all the way up to about $40. The biggest pro of this headset is that it's completely untethered. You don't need a VR capable PC in order to play VR. If you compare that against something like the Valve Index, that is a $999 headset, plus you need to then buy a VR capable PC. So that's going to cost you like another $100,000, maybe not that much. Cost you about another grand or two to go and get a PC on top of that. So this makes the Oculus Quest 2 amazing value for money. Now don't get me wrong, the graphics on this are not going to be as good as those that you would get on a PC-enabled VR headset, but for the price, they're still pretty good. Now there are 2 issues with this headset that I have, and one is the head strap. As you can tell, I don't have the elasticated strap that came with it out of the box on this anymore. I find the elasticated head strap, it's really hard to adjust, so when you're passing it around friends, for instance, it takes ages to adjust. I also find that if you're playing really active games, your headset moves around a lot because that elastic doesn't really keep it in place. So I would thoroughly recommend upgrading it with a third-party or aftermarket strap. And I think there's 2 options here from 2 different companies. First up is the Elite strap from Oculus. So I've had this on my Quest 2 since the day I bought it, and I've really enjoyed it. It is a significant step up and improvement over the elasticated strap that comes with this headset out of the box. It's really easy to adjust. You just turn it one way to make it bigger, and then turn it the other way to make it smaller. And it fits my head really well. I did have an issue where my one actually snapped after about 9 months of use. However, Oculus do give you a 2-year warranty with it, so I just phoned them up and they sent me another one in the post. This one will cost you $60. An alternative to this is the Bobo VR M2 strap. So if you prefer those Halo style head straps rather than clamp ones like this, so it kind of sits on your head, then that would be a good option. That one only costs you $37. And if you'd rather play for longer, then getting a strap with a battery pack built into it would be a good idea. So you can get the official Oculus Elite strap here with a battery pack built into the back. That version is going to cost you about $109. Alternatively, there is the Bobo VR M2 Pro head strap. Now that one has a detachable magnetic battery that you can actually buy a couple of batteries for and just hot swap them, which I think is really cool. That one will only cost you $60. So it's about half the price of the official Oculus Quest one. So I definitely recommend checking that out. I would also recommend replacing the foam face cover that comes on the Oculus Quest 2 out of the box. Because it's foam, I find it's quite itchier on my face, and also it soaks up sweat, which I kind of find a little bit gross. So I would recommend ones from either VR Cover or Kiwi Design. Both of those companies do some really good facial cover replacements. I've done quite a few videos reviewing those, so go and check those out and pick the one that's right for you. These ones are PU leather, so they're not going to soak up the sweat and they're very easy to clean. And they've got vents in the design as well, so it's going to keep you nice and cool when you're doing some of those high activity games. So what's happened over the last year to change my mind? Well, the games have changed over the last year, so we have seen more games giving improved visuals on the Quest 2 compared to the original Quest. We're also seeing some bigger AAA games coming out. So Resident Evil 4 just came out, and that is a Oculus Quest 2 exclusive. We've also got other games coming out, such as Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell. All of those are going to give you probably either Oculus Quest 2 exclusives, or they're going to give you better graphics than just the original Quest headset. And the frame rate on this has increased dramatically as well. So when it first came out, it had 72 frames per second, so number of times per second that the screen's refreshing. That's now increased up to 120 frames per second. So that will give you smoother gameplay, and it also means you're less likely to suffer from motion or VR sickness. Wireless PC VR is finally mainstream. So when the Quest 2 originally came out, we did have Virtual Desktop. Now this is an app created by Guy Godin that allowed you to play PC VR games wirelessly to your Quest headset. But setting it up wasn't overly straightforward because Facebook were blocking the app being on the Quest main App Store. So you had to go and get the game, install it, you had to go and create a developer account, you had to sideload a patch. Wasn't the easiest, most straightforward thing to do, although it was really good once it was up and running. However, relatively recently, Facebook have changed their mind. So they have allowed the main app to go onto the Quest Store, so you can download it and just use it straight out of the box, and it works really well. And Oculus have also released AirLink, which is their version of Virtual Desktop. So you've now got two ways of streaming PC VR content wirelessly to your Quest headset, and it's really easy to set up both of them. If you want to check out the differences between them, go and check out one of my videos where I've actually done exactly that. And since its release last year, it has now got cheaper. Well, kind of. So when this originally came out, the 64 gig model was $299. They have discontinued that model, and they've brought out a 128 gig model for the same price. So for $299, you now get twice the storage than when it originally came out. Now this is a welcome change, as Quest games are just getting bigger and bigger in file size. So games like The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, for instance, take up about 8 gig of memory. However, that is the exception because most games on the Quest Store take up about a max of 2 gig. So with a 128 gigabyte model, you can fit over 50 games on it. Now, if you plan on storing movies on your Quest headset, or you're going to record a lot of gameplay, then I would recommend upping it to the 256 gig model. That'll cost you an extra $100 and it costs you $399. Other features that have come out this year and are evolving pretty much every week. We have hand tracking, which means you don't even need a controller. You can just use your hands to track your game. We've got augmented reality, which has started to crop in, where you can start imprinting your real world into the VR world. Virtual Office is where you can now start to get virtual keyboards and start to use it as a productivity tool. And with Facebook's recent announcement of the metaverse, it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes from here. So at the end of the day, should you buy it? Well, given the changes that have happened over the last year, I think this has taken the Oculus Quest 2 from a good headset that I would have recommended last year to a great headset that I think is a no-nonsense compulsory purchase this year. It's not without its faults, some of which I said I think can be easily fixed, but for $299, it really is a great buy. VR totally transforms your gaming experience. You're really not going to want to put it down. I will place a purchase link to it in the description down below for you. Thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and share it. Consider subscribing if you're not. And as always, see you in the next one.